Okay, so AJ hit me up with this new indie joint called Handshake, right? So, man, if you listen to the podcast, you know when AJ Furman gets involved, shit's gonna get interesting. So, I'm always open, but I had no idea what this is. I have no idea what this is, right? It is directed and written by Robert Shupe. He also produces the film. All right, it's co-produced by Leslie Gomez, Todd Hailstone, and May Loong. Eric Ricky and Alex Stupa take care of the music. Rob Schulte, cinematography. Robert Shupe also edits the piece, right? Costume design is Maria Radeka Nedakova. I probably got that wrong. Hair and makeup is Jenny Egido, right? Art department, we have Noel Calizo and Zachary Van Tilburg. Right, so our cast. Not only did he write, direct, produce, and edit, Robert Shupe also co-stars as Devin Fowler. Right, his girlfriend, Erica Dunn, is played by Mabel Motersby. Then there's Bill Burdick, played by Joe Basso. All right, Joe has a daughter, Morgan, who is played by Savannah Jokel. Right, we've got Christine Dunkel, played by Onnalee Sweatman. There's Corey, played by Doug Akes. Glenn, played by Nick Byer. Sheriff Campbell, played by Patrick Sean Clark. Right, the prosecutor, played by Michael McNeely. The waitress, played by Brianna Humphrey. The undersheriff Nix, played by Peter Sapajic. So yeah, that is the cast and all. The gist of the film is this, right? After a chance encounter in the Montana wilderness, right, mild-mannered family man Bill Burdick and failed drug dealer Devin Fowler form an unlikely bond and soon find themselves concocting an unorthodox scheme to resolve their respective financial debts. But when their plan yields a series of unexpected consequences, the nature of their fast friendship and the morality of their shared crime is called into question. Loosely based on actual events and set against a perilous contemporary American West, Handshake charts the enigmatic trajectory of two ordinary men whose toxic chemistry and dire circumstances give way to greed, violence, and far reaching psychological trauma. Right? Right? Now, as I said, I had no clue what this was coming in. What this turned out to be, I was not expecting. Right? We start off the film and we have Devon hands being like they're taped up in front of him and he's running away from two guys. So you're like, what's good? But the two guys chasing them, at times it doesn't look like they're necessarily really putting a whole heap into it. So you're kind of wondering, like, are we watching, some scenes from a movie that they're shooting? Like, what is this? Right? And we also then see Bill, right, getting ready to go fly fishing, which I've never done fly. I've only tried fishing one time on my friend's parents' farm. I caught fish on the first try. Now we did throw them back, right? Caught a big one though, people. Caught a big ass fish. But yeah, never done fly fishing. I mean, just all that finickety tying a little fly to a all seems a bit too much for me. I ain't gonna see that fly. But we're seeing in prep. I was a bit like, huh, because I just assume you do everything once you got to the bank of the river where you're gonna do it. But you know, but anyway, I mean, I guess you don't really need that much detail, but yeah, they run into each other, right? They run into each other as Devin manages to escape from the two people chasing him and all of this. So then, Bill helps Devon out, right? So it's forming this kind of friendship, kind of acquaintance is probably more aligned to what it is. But we're seeing some odd things happen, right? Like certain things go down and you're not quite sure because it's weird, right? Someone suggests something, but they don't want to do the thing. Like it's just like, huh. But then when the plan is hatched, I mean, it sounds like a messy plan. Now, I was kind of thinking to myself, hold on. If this is all going to play out, what about now? They address some of it in the car, right? They did address some of it in the car, which I'm like, okay. But there was all this other stuff. And then I'm thinking, what about cameras, right? Records, just all of this thing, which, we see plays out in the film. You then wonder, though, right? Because it's this whole psychological thing. So you wonder how much thought went into it, right? The planning. Because is the stop part of the plan, right? Is the cash machine part of the plan? That's the thing, right? That's the thing that you wonder about, right? And so it makes you think, right? I really liked how this film panned out, right? Because I think we've seen films where these kind of things are hatched and then it all goes kind of crazy. And then at the end, like, things kind of get resolved. That, the person we're following finds a way to escape or works out a plan or a deal or something, which oftentimes you go, okay, that's cool and all, but what about this and what about that? Right? Surely there's these other things that don't make any sense. So with this film, with Handshake, right? The fact that it goes the way it goes, you're like, yeah, that's how it should go, right? That's what should happen. Good stuff, right? But you have all of these other things that you think about, right? Because it's just the what went down in the car, the steering wheel, all of that kind of thing. You then have to think about what then happened next, right? So what is being said isn't necessarily true, right? It started out being true, but then we know it goes south, right? So, but it's just the things that we tell each ourselves, I guess, which this film does a good job of kind of relaying, right? It goes into that minutiae of if you did something like this, what would happen? What would play out? How would this go? And then when we do the time jump and we have these further conversations, I think that addresses something as well. Because if someone you knew is depressed, is ill, and you didn't see it, that's going to make you feel terrible. Terrible. Or maybe you saw it, but were just like, ugh, they're snap out of it. Things will be fine. You know, I ain't got time for this. I'll look into it another time. Right. And then everything goes south. You're gonna feel so bad. So you won't want to admit to that. You won't want to admit to it. So that's what makes then that other conversation so, you know what I mean, jarring, so compelling. Because it does kind of shine a light on that question, right? That argument, that fault, which I thought was interesting, really, you know, well played. I thought they did the aging of Devon was done well. You know, that was very convincing, you know. Um, yeah, this it's a really interesting film that I don't think you're going to expect going in. I do not think, because it starts off right when Devon's being chased and all of that. It's all a bit um light, right? Because it doesn't seem that serious, even though like he's being chased and they're like going at each other. It still doesn't really seem uber serious, you know. So you're one because like there's a gun, but no one takes a shot, and you're just like, wait, how you got a gun and you're not taking a shot? Like what? So I don't think you're expecting it to get as heavy as it gets. But also with that heaviness, it's very thought provoking, right? It does become that thing where you're just like, huh, what would I do in this situation? Right? Like, what should happen? What should be the outcome of this? You know? Like, is this person, would you be guilty? Like, yeah, how should this play out? Right? Should, you know, what I mean? Should Devon end up where Devon ends up? You know, what about Erica? Right. So yeah, there's these things that you're now thinking about. You're like, yo, okay. Right. I thought the relationship between Devon and Erica was played well. You kind of you bought into that dynamic. It felt like a couple that had been together for a while, you know what I mean? So I thought that was good. You know, just yeah, I enjoyed Handshake. Right? It's dark, it's twisted, but it's really fucking interesting. It really is. I don't have release information, people, but I'm going to try and find that out. I will ask that question. I will ask that question. And once I've got it, I will put it on the website for you. Okay. But I will recommend you checking this out. Definitely recommend it. It's all very compelling components, right? It's shot well. Now, some bits at night are a little dark. I will say that. Some bits at night are a little dark. Some of the conversation doesn't always hit, right? The delivery doesn't always work necessarily. But on the whole, this is really fucking solid. This is really fucking solid. So you'll want to watch Handshake. You'll want to watch Handshake and then discuss with your peoples what the fuck would you do if you were in this situation, right? If you were posed with this task, what would you do? What would you do? So people, check it out. Check out Handshake and let me know what you think and what you would do. All right? Peace.